Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining Albert Whitman for this AW author chat today. I'm Lisa White, Associate Manager of Marketing and Publicity at AW, and today I am chatting with authors Anna Harbor Freeman and Barbara Gonzalez, editor Madison Moore, and illustrator Afalandra. Today we're going to be chatting about their book, Shaped by Your Hands. This is the multiple starred reviewed picture book that shares the story of Potter Maria Martinez. So I'd love everyone to just go ahead and introduce themselves and then tell us how that you worked on the book.
I'm Anna Harbor Freeman, and I was a co-author.
Barbara?
I'm Barbara Gonzalez. I am the great-granddaughter of Maria Martinez, and it was a pleasure doing the book.
Hi, I'm Madison. I'm an associate editor at AW.
And I'm Afalandra. I'm the illustrator, and I'm a senior book designer at Albert Whitman.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. First off, obviously, I'd love Barbara to kind of talk about your book and actually explain what the book is about, since it is about your relative.
Well, I was partly raised by my great-grandmother, reared by her, and having living with her, she was more than just a named great-grandmother. We don't have a name for great-grandmother, but we call older lady grandmas. So the Indian name for that is Sayas. And it was a pleasure living with her. And I think whether I realized it or not, things she talked about and how she lived, it became a part of my life. And it was a pleasure sharing it through the book and getting hopefully giving a broader understanding to the people that don't know about Indian art, Indian pottery, or about my great-grandmother, or even my tribe, who are the Tewa people.
And I would add that I think our book does a nice job of showing a child's perspective, like Maria as a child, and how she became interested in pottery and began to learn about clay and pottery and her traditions, and then how that impacted her life and shared her art, with the broader world.
Definitely. Now, Anna and Barbara, how did you all meet to end up co-authoring this book together?
So I'm an art teacher, a children's art teacher, and growing up in Colorado in the Southwest, we all learned about Maria Martinez and her famous pottery. So I learned about that from my art teachers growing up. And when I became an art teacher myself, I wanted to share her story with my students as well. But I couldn't find very many resources to really bring her to life for kids. There's a great video that I would share, but most of the books were written for adults. So I just thought it'd be a perfect story for a children's picture book. And I'd written another one previously, but I knew I would need help telling her story. So I did some research and I found Barbara's name and found, that she's a relative and she's also a potter and she's also been a teacher. So I reached out just to see if she'd be interested in working on a book together. And I was thrilled and really lucky that she did want to partner on this. So it's been a long and awesome journey doing this together.
Definitely. I remember whenever we first saw this book, it was so exciting to realize, like, oh, Barbara is actually, related to her and also as an artist as well. That's such a neat perspective of the book. Now, during the writing process and editing process, Anna and Barbara, was there anything unique or memorable that you learned or that was surprising while you were writing and editing the book?
Well, I think we both learned that being co-authors means a lot of communication. So we've talked on the phone for hours and hours together. And we were lucky enough to meet before COVID. I went down to Santa Fe with a friend and we were able to meet. And it was that was one of the highlights for me, is getting to meet Barbara and see her own pottery and, her own studio and her work. And so I think that gave me insight that there's no way I could have gotten otherwise, just into the whole process and the meaning behind some of the like the water serpent that we see on the pottery and things like that.
Barbara, was there anything unique or memorable for you?
Well, it was interesting because this has been in my thoughts years, saying one of these days I'm going to write a book. And when Anna approached me, and I thought, oh, well, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to go for it. And being a teacher, you kind of know what's involved with kids and art. I've done teaching with elementary school kids, and I've done teaching professors, art instructors, and students, but mostly adults. So it was fun doing what I did with elementary school kids, being a regular elementary substitute teacher for a good number of years while my own kids were going. And they finally reached ninth, 10th grade, and I wasn't a substitute anymore at that time. So, being involved with doing art teaching, it was fun because I saw a different aspect of writing a book.
For sure. Now, the point of this panel is we wanted to get everyone together that worked in this book, not just the authors, because it was really exciting because this did receive 2-star reviews, which was a great thing for all of us at Albert Whitman. We were so excited, and we knew it was a very special book. But it's so nice when other people say that. And it was also chosen, Athelander, you want to show I don't think actually the authors have seen this yet.
Yeah, so we got the Junior Library Guild seal, which we just got advanced days ago. So now the covers get to have this pretty little seal, which is great.
Exactly. So it's been really exciting to see everyone agree with us of how important of a book this was. I did want to ask Madison, what was, you're the one that acquired this book as an editor. What caught your eye and made you want to acquire this book?
So there are honestly a lot of things. This is my first book, my first acquisition independently, which is so exciting. So for that reason, it has a special place in my heart. It also came from our submissions inbox, which is where anyone can submit to us with their manuscripts. And so I read hundreds of manuscripts in there every week. And so kind of finding this was just a gem. It was like a really special moment to open it and know that there was really something there. For one, I'm really interested in just telling untold histories and representing underrepresented groups. So this book definitely piqued my interest because of that. And I'm an artist myself. I've made ceramics and I'm really interested in that. So I was just very drawn in by Maria's story and her history and just the beauty of her art, and so I knew just, from the first moment I opened the manuscript that there was something there. And it was really wonderful to reach out and start that process with Barbara and Anna.
Definitely. I remember when this book did come to acquisitions, that felt already like I had a place at AW, especially because this is part of our She Made History series and collection, and that's telling stories of women that may not be as well known in history that deserve to be well known. And Maria is definitely one of those people, and it just naturally felt already like one of our books for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think our She Made History series, having an artist on there was something that we hadn't done in a few years. And so it was nice to bring it back to that part of history as well.
Definitely. Now, the art got a lot of really wonderful rave reviews from multiple of the star reviews that we received. Athelander, I wanted to kind of talk about that. So your illustration really brings to life Maria from this very, very young age and throughout her adulthood until she is elderly. What was it like illustrating a whole lifespan of characters through art? If you want to share maybe some of the art or some of the things from doing that.
Can share some art. I'm excited to share some
We'd
art.
love to.
Let me bring up
The
my
beauty
screen.
of technology, we can actually share it on the screen.
Okay. So to answer your question, it involved a lot of research because it was very important to me and important to all of us, obviously, to get the culture right, Maria and her family right, the setting, the clothing, the techniques she used. And so, I have 2 huge books on Maria that I constantly reference. I put together reference sheets, just a lot. But of that, I can share with you a little bit about her character design, which some people might find interesting. So as I was developing Maria, as you said, I'm taking her through her whole life pretty much. So for young readers, I wanted to have some kind of visual cue that helps them know that this little girl right here is the same as the adult that appears later. So what I ended up doing is kind of color coding her with this nice turquoise blue. And so every time you see Maria, she's going to be wearing this blue, from when she's a child to when she's a teenager at boarding school, when she gets married, later when she's an adult, and into her elderly years. She's always wearing this turquoise blue very prominently. And as I was developing that kind of color language, I wanted to take it further and kind of use it on other characters to show their connection to Maria. So for Julian, when I was designing him, he also has this exact same shade of blue on his headband. And he also gets his own distinct color palette. He gets this orange and this darker blue, which you will see every time he shows up too. And their little son also has the blue. He has the blue here in his vest. So what I'm trying to bring through is that like these characters are connected. These characters are a family unit. They belong together and they love each other. So that's kind of the rule I established. But then I did end up breaking that rule on this spread because of this little girl who is not part of their family. So the reason I use the blue on her is because what I want to sort of get across to the reader is that, like, in my mind, this little girl is of Native American descent herself. And the fact that she gets to see Maria and Julian demonstrating their beautiful pottery making is just so inspiring to her. And she really feels a connection to them. So I wanted people's eyes to be on these two and her as well, and kind of know in their mind that there's a connection there. And she's kind of pointing at herself like wow, like she can do it, so can I, like something like that, where she's inspired by the representation. And the blue also comes in on this little girl in her hair clip, which this little girl represents Maria's grandchildren who came to learn from her. And another thing I was thinking while designing her is trying to bring Julian in, because Julian, like I really wanted Julian on the spread, but he has passed away by this time, but he was such an important part of her life and her work. So I wanted to bring him in somehow. And what I ended up doing is having the grandchild kind of inherit his color scheme. So you do get Julian at the end. And I think that also helps bring forward this idea that like they're still tied together, and the legacy between them is still continuing on. Can I keep talking about art or?
Sure, you can show a little more. I love this kind of stuff. And I do think it really does show this beautiful flow throughout the book, which was commented on in reviews of the color scheme really making everything flow in a very beautiful way with the story.
Thank you. Well, I'll just share a few more little things. There's an Easter egg between the designs of Nicolasa and Maria as well. Nicolasa has this very distinct belt, which is actually inspired by this painting by J.D. Roybal, who is a Tewa artist himself. So I tried to get inspiration from other books and art by Tewa people. But anyway, so the belt is on Nicolasa here. And then later when Maria is developing her technique and everything, she has the same belt. So I know probably no one will notice that, but for me, it just strengthens the connection between them and shows that Nicolasa's influence is still there. And without Nicolasa's guidance, Maria wouldn't have been able to discover this technique of making the pots. So yeah,
I think also that speaks to, how much the story does share that inspiration does pass down generation to generation and really weaves that, which I mean, Barbara is a testament of that. She is herself an artist that has learned from her family's experience over the years. And I think you captured that with the art of showing how much it does pass down generation to generation.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the main theme I wanted to bring through with the art. And just as a last thing, I can share one of my reference sheets with you. They were very huge and detailed and just covered a bunch of just everything, clothes, hairstyles, poses, the techniques. So yeah, it involved a lot of research, and in the end, I hope that I was able to represent Maria well and do her story justice.
Definitely. Thanks for sharing all that with us, Affy. That's really cool. Like I said, this panel is to kind of share all the work that goes into a start review book, and it's obviously a lot of the writers were writing the stories, and at the same time Madison working on editing with them and doing that back and forth. But then, like you said, there's so much more to art than just creating this art. There's inspiration, there's finding all these things to tie together, and I think it's really neat to kind of discuss that, because it doesn't always get discussed when we talk about a book once it's finished. So it's neat to show the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barbara.
I would like to comment on it.
Yeah.
Says I knew it would be a unique book. I wanted people who were working on it to do their own research and to know that they were interested enough to draw these various aspects that she thought of, and which was good. The belt, significance of the belt is, which I like, is that I noticed it. The females usually wear red and white. The males were green, black, and white. So you brought out an interesting aspect that you caught in your research. And, there is a lot about the Tewa people that isn't really written. And what people do hear about, they see through pictures, like the illustrator did her own research and come up with various aspects of Maria's life, which was good. I liked that very much. In fact, from the illustrator's point of view, sometimes when you're thinking about writing, you have your own visions and you're not looking at it through somebody else's eyes. So your ideas are kind of distorted on how someone else would see it. So it was a nice interpretation that Valandra had that I agreed with. And one of the things I found unique that I really like is the emphasis of how Maria's influence could go back and forth, backwards to different past generations, and then bringing it out again towards the end of the book, where it's coming forward and going on to the younger generations. And one of the things that I liked about it is I kept tabs on it, is the women, when they wear their manta outfits, if you're alive, you're dancing, you wear it on the right shoulder. If you die and you're put to rest, everything is in reverse. So the manta would be on the left side, the shoulder strap. So I was conscious of that throughout the seeing the various illustrations, and I, would point out that one is wrong, make sure they change it. So it was interesting. I liked that aspect of it, that, people and children could see how interconnected it was, that it's still continuing to this day, because a lot of times children just see in their immediate viewpoints or the immediate articles that they might read, but never thinking, well, in the future, this will happen. And for us, being that my great-grandmother is gone, that future for me is now, and what I do and what my grandkids, my great-grandkids might do later on. So it was a really humbling experience. Thank you, Alphalandra.
Thank you. I mean, all your feedback was invaluable. I remember getting that correction about the side of the manta, but I didn't know the reasoning.
Mhm.
So that's really interesting to know. I also remember a correction on some cactus I drew that were not native to New Mexico. Or
That's the
like
thing about a book. Everyone doesn't know, like,
Yeah.
those little things you have to
We
double
don't
check.
have that cactus here.
yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a team effort.
For sure. Now, since we were talking about art, I kind of wanted to ask everyone, do you have a favorite spread or page in the book? Anna, if you want to start.
Yeah, I would agree with Barbara when we talked about that too, about the idea of generations. I think is so abstract for kids, and Afalandra I thought did such a nice job making that concrete with the vision of the the ancestors coming before. I thought that was really beautiful. That's one of my favorites.
Should I share my screen again?
Sure.
show these?
Yeah, if you want to show the actual things as we talk about them.
And I like how that came up there. It came up a few times, and I know when Barbara and I were talking about writing this part, Barbara said, sometimes she does think about the people who come before when she's making a pot and adding the layers. So I thought that was a really beautiful way to make it kind of an abstract concept, concrete for kids.
I do love the curvature, like, of this design. Kind of matches the idea of like pottery being turned and created in the curves of like a pot. Like, it just really marries beautifully.
And I think it's a great example of how collaboration is so important, because the two of us wrote the words, and then Athalandra came up with this idea that I would have never thought of to illustrate it, and it just altogether becomes greater than the pieces that came together. It made something really beautiful.
Definitely. Barbara, do you have a favorite page or spread that
Well,
share?
that page, yeah, I like that page as well. And if you pay attention to the pottery shapes, they're all different, which is good because not all pottery is round. They come in various shapes and sizes. So with that page, and then towards the end where Maria is talking to a granddaughter, people have been asking me that, I've seen that, but is that you? Well, it could be. But I like that emphasis again on the generations and their different hairstyles, and the pots are different shapes. And I always tell people, when you receive something, you have your palms out. So it's good that you see a palm out on all the pottery, and that one particular girl right besides Maria has her palm out saying, I want to touch it. I want a contact with it, instead of closing your mind and maybe not having your palms out and maybe having a closed hands. But that's really good. I like that. And as well as the last page, where Maria is one of the pages that Maria is talking to the people as she's demonstrating, and that little girl that you see back there that Afalandra said, could that be you? I said, yeah, it could have been me in the future, but I was not even in thought at that point when my great grandfather passed away in 1943. So, it could have been the future going and wishing, and like Afalandra said, on the hand, you can see it could be me.
I love that. Madison, do you have a favorite spread to share?
Can I say something really quick?
Of
If
course.
anybody asks you if this is you, you can say yes, because I did have you in mind when drawing her.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Madison, do you have a favorite spread or page to share?
Yeah, I really love the spread with Nicolasa that we already saw, but I think that my favorite page is actually when Maria is holding her first finished pot. So she, when she's younger, she struggles to make a pot that will stay together, but she finally has this moment where she gets to hold her first finished whole product, and she takes it home and shares it with her family. And I just think it's such a special and emotional moment, and you can just see how much love and happiness is on her face in that moment. So I really love that page. And I think, Afalandra did such a beautiful job capturing that feeling.
I remember I originally had this woman who is purchasing a pot in a similar pose as this, and you had asked to kind of make this one different so that this one remains special. And I thought that was a great call.
I think her emotion too is captured so well in that illustration.
Yeah.
I know it's like picking a favorite child, but do you have a favorite spread or page, Afilandra?
So mine is actually this one, because I feel like it's a culmination of a lot of her work, because you can see the people in the community gathered with her and her family. You can see a bunch of the finished pots and pots in progress. I tried to represent like every stage of pottery making between all the people. And then it also has just my favorite little interaction between her son and Julian, because he's learning how to do the design work, and he's just in awe of his father's intricate painting. So yeah, it would be this one.
That's awesome. Now, I do kind of want to, thanks for sharing your screen so we could all see that art, Lena. So I did kind of want to, once again, congratulate you all on the double starter review, just kind of to share with everyone watching. Kirkus Review Starter Review called it a deserved celebration. And School Library Journal also gave a Shape by Our Hands a starter review. And I just wanted to read this quote because I love it. It said, through masterful storytelling and graceful illustrations, this impactful title embodies Maria Povica Martinez's famous words, "The Great Spirit gave me hands that work, but not for myself, for all Tewa people." And I just love that review, and it's so wonderful to get these card reviews. I wanted to ask everyone, what was it like finding out that your book received multiple starred reviews, and what did that mean to you? Anna, you want to start first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it was thrilling, of course, and really validated, I think, all the hard work that we've all done. But for me, the most special one was the School Library Journal, because when I looked closer after I'd read it, it was from a librarian at the Denver Public Library. And that's where my own grandmother worked. She's of Osage descent, and she worked at the Denver Public Library in the 50s and 60s. So to me, that kind of brought full circle. She was my original inspiration. And then to see that review coming from the place she worked was really special.
Sure. Barbara, how did it feel whenever you found out?
Oh, it was good when Anna was telling me about it. It says, oh, really? Because my computer would go on and off, on and off. And, when I talked to Anna, she was telling me, and I was telling her, so what does that mean? I says, oh, people liked our book. I says, well, that's good. That we're getting a good response from the different people that had something to do with promoting it, and making sure that it was out there in the public. But I will, before I end my piece, I would like to say thank you to the publishers, Albert Whitman, to the people that had something to do with it or anything to do with it, because for Anna and I, it was like a 3.5 year of phone calls that we were exchanging back and forth, and to know that that some people were taking an interest in it. And Philandra, the artistic insight you were putting words into pictures. I mean, I think a lot of times when you think of painting, it's just flat. But if you take it and look at it as a book, and it's a weaving going through the different layers of the pottery making, and then you finally end up, I couldn't believe at the end how it turned out when I saw the pictures. It was really nice. And Anna, for her patience and knowledge about the book, and because I had a lot of questions to ask, and she took the time to answer my questions and to be patient with me on understanding what happens in a publication. So thank you again for having me be a part of this interview, and it has been very interesting. And since it publicly made known, I put my orders in for my book, so I'm waiting for it to arrive anytime now. And I've got buyers from the Pueblo here and other Indian Native American organizations that would like me to order books for them. So thank you again for all the effort that everyone made.
Of course. I think
my great grandmother is smiling.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think I speak on everyone at AW, for folks that don't know, as you're watching this, we've all worked in this book together, but we've never actually met all together at once. So this is kind of a celebration of all the hard work and how much work it does go into creating a book. And, truly, as everyone at AW would say, it is an honor that we got to tell Maria's story and get to bring this book to life. We all love what we do, and that's why we do it, because it's just such a wonderful experience to do all that work and to actually make this beautiful thing so that people can learn more about these wonderful stories. So thank you, Barbara, for sharing your beautiful story with us. Well, Madison, how was it when you found out?
I was so excited. I mean, yeah, I couldn't believe that I could believe it because it's such a great project, but it was so special that the first book I worked on was so well received. And, my initial reaction was just kind of joy that more people were going to hear Maria's story, because I just felt like I had never heard of Maria before this book. And I felt like that was totally unfair. She's such an amazing figure. And so just to know that more kids are going to get to hear their story and be inspired by it is something that was so important to me. And just, I don't know, part of Maria's story that I really love is the idea that, you can bring others with you and uplift others and share your work and your passion and your inspiration with them. And by doing so, create a community that is so strong and creative and beautiful and working together. And I think that's such a wonderful message. And so to be able to share both this real history and this theme of community is something that I was thrilled that it was recognized for those things, because from the beginning, those aspects of the story have just always shown through to me.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Landra, how about you?
So you were actually the one, Lisa, who told me about the first.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think I remember saying, I'm tearing up because it was such a nice review, and it meant a lot to me because this is my first picture book, and I've been dreaming of doing a picture book for a long time. And it also meant a lot to me because I got to dedicate this book to my dad, who passed away 3 years ago. So he was a big inspiration for me as I was working through this, and also because of the story is about like bringing your family's legacy forward. So I feel like I was able to do it with this book in a small way, and yeah, it just meant a lot to me.
That's lovely. I love that.
Thank you.
So before we end everything and wrap up here, I did want to just ask one last question. So what do you guys, all of you, hope that readers take away from reading Shaped by Her Hands? Anna, if you want to start.
Well, part of it as an art teacher, I just really want to kind of broaden my students' definition of what is art. Like, art is not, just a picture in a museum. Art it can be so many things, including, the clay and things you make with, whatever resources you have available. And artists are not just, the Van Goghs and things of the world. There's so many artists like Maria, who are she's practically in my own backyard. There's so many great artists to learn from and just to inspire their own creativity as well.
For sure. Like Madison said, I'd seen art that was obviously created in museums and inspired by Maria's art, but I never knew who she was. So it's wonderful to put the artist with the art. For sure. Now, Barbara, what do you hope people take away from reading Shaped by Her Hands?
Well, my grandmother's outlook on life and her philosophy in life is don't forget the children. So whether she realized it or not, or whether, growing up, she paid attention to children, and she loved to sing and dance. And one of the things she always told me is, remember, you never know when these children will come back looking for pottery. And it has happened. I've had people walk through the door of my little store here and say, oh, we read about Maria, or we heard about Maria when I was a little boy growing up in school. And I knew that one of these days when I came to New Mexico, I was going to go to San Ildefonso Pueblo and look up Maria's family. So here's my family, they would say. They would all walk in, or, to see the pottery and see that we are still doing all the traditional things that we learned from her. And she did 3 types of pottery. She did the polychrome, which is light in color, and she did the red ware, which is red mica or red polished. And then she became more known with the black on black ware, which we all do. And my sons and my family and myself, we do all those different colors of pots that she made possible for us to do. But as myself, as a potter and as an artist, I feel that I have to go a little bit further and trying to, how would I say, do the things she did, communicate with people, and try and perfect my art like she did hers. I mean, oh God, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of heartbreaking that, you know, you can do a pot and then it would crack in the end. But her thing was to keep working at it and to do it for the future generations to come. So that's what I'm trying to do. I enjoy my work. I'm a painter as well, but being a teacher, like Anna said, you have to learn about all aspects of art. So I've done knitting, I've done beading, I've done rug weaving, I've done making clothes, I've done painting, finger painting, but you know, clay work is what I do best and what I like to do. But as a teacher, you have to spread your hands and learn about all the different arts besides the Van Goghs. And I enjoy it and I appreciate it.
Definitely. Madison, what do you hope folks take away from reading Shaped by Her Hands?
Yeah, I think kind of related, just the idea of collaboration and building each other up as you grow and, you know, finding inspiration in your everyday life and the people around you, you know, in all of these actions and sharing that with the people you love. I think it's just such a special and universal message. So I hope that that's what readers will draw from this.
And Affalander, wrap it up. What do you hope folks take away from reading Shaped by Her Hands?
Yeah, similar to Madison, excuse me. I hope kids see the last spread and are inspired to like ask their grandparents or ask their elders, you know, what can you teach me? Like, what can we work on together? So I really hope that brings families together like that.
For sure. Well, like I said, Shaped by Her Hands is the book. Here it is right here. It is available now from your favorite book seller, from your library. Make sure you pick it up. It is part of our She Made History series. If you're wanting to look for it, you can visit albertwhitman.com/she-made-history and you'll find it there. I want to thank everyone again, Anna, Barbara, Affalander, Madison. It's so nice to be able to talk to everyone and share with our audience just how much work and passion goes into creating a starred picture book. Thank you so much again, everybody, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.